Hey gang, welcome back to Wandering to Wellness.
Hello.
Finn and Lydia are your usuals. And today our our special guest is Erica Drum.
Hello.
Erica is a TV chef who you'll know better than us, that's for sure, from the telly. And she is also a food educator, culinary arts specialist, and actually lately, and I think the same as all of us, more lately, somebody who's really pushing herself and educating others how to use up their food, right?
Yeah, 100%. Well, it's been always.
Yeah.
For me, but teaching it's been, yeah.
That's a thing, yeah. And so, talk to us, like, when you say always, why always? Where did that come from? What's the
Mostly
seed
my
from?
mom.
Okay.
And then I should have asked her, like, where it comes from her. And does it come from, maybe lack of resources in the past? Or was it just the way it was? You didn't waste things,
Yeah.
Like,
It wasn't an effort.
it wasn't. It was just done that way.
Yeah.
I always say I was born with spatulas on my hand. She'd always make sure you got the last and the bowl.
Yeah.
But that's the way your mom taught her.
Yeah.
It's just been ingrained without realizing in me. You don't I remember my dad as a kid always giving out, if you open the new milk before finishing the old milk, or if you open the new cereal box, because the last little bit would wait. It was literally said be just the way it was.
Yeah.
Whereas it should be the way it is now, and sadly it's not.
I think we've lost a lot of common sense possibly in the modern world, have we?
I agree, and respect, actually.
Yeah.
Respect is probably a bigger one because it comes down to, I think, personally seeing it grow or seeing something sorrow. So I asked my mum about this, and she said, "Oh yes." I said, "Did anything ever grow?" "Oh yeah, my dad has, a small bit of land. They were, in a urban house, nothing massive, where he grew in the spuds and whatever else." So everyone in that environment could see what it took to grow that potato they're eating, and that then falls through on everything else. So we end up having respect there for the food because we've seen other foods grow that way. And sadly, that has changed. I actually think there was I call it the Bing Bong era, which is the microwave period.
Okay.
And the microwave and the convenience food all came in. And it was brilliant because it was helping women get out to work. So we have to find this balance. But it lowered our respect for food and for slow food and and cooking and produce and not wasting.
Yeah. The slow food movement, when it started off with the guy, it's not Florence, I think, wasn't it?
Initially, yeah.
Yeah. So and they kind of kept McDonald's out. There's all this sort of stuff happening there. That's like 25 or more years ago. And we were watching it, but I was watching it when I was a teenager when that was sort of happening. And I remember thinking it was kind of like socks and sandals, which are cool now. Socks and sandals is an old, that's cool reference. People have to be 40 plus to understand it, sorry. But there was sort of it felt very fuddy-duddy, and it was like the convenience element to food was just like, it was this prosaic thing. You're like, of course, because it's progress, and that's we always see like convenience as progress, but there's this cost to convenience which you're absolutely bang on. And one of the things I think going further from our producers and not knowing them, not knowing their faces, not knowing ours, like you're saying about your dad and the spuds, it's all of that stuff. And even I think moving on to our first pick, things like bread, which is baked in Dublin, we still don't necessarily have a connection to the effort that goes into baking a loaf of bread, right?
No. And we're not seeing the wheat grow in the field if we're not leaving where we are, or we even know what it looks like.
Yeah.
I used to teach kids. I did a summer of kids cookery camp. And yes, I am surprised I'm still alive. They were brilliant, to be fair, but I did from ages like 7 to 12. But one kid said to me, we used to do, because my friend had been to Ballymena, and I said, what did you do? And she said, well, every day we did a different bread. And I said, that's brilliant. I'll do that with the kids. So every day of the 5 days, we did a different bread. And this morning we did brown bread, and we mixed it in a bowl rather than the kneading of the yeasty breads the day before, put it into the oven, and they had their names on each one. And one kid came over a bit halfway through cooking. She said, oh, where's the bread? And I said, they're in the oven. I don't want to open it, just the air and the warm. And I said, there's your bread there in the top. She said, that's not my bread. And I said, she said, you went to the shop and bought that since we were watching. And I thought, I did. And she just couldn't comprehend
that she could turn that into that thing.
This thing.
Wow. That's
that was part of my change. I was like, oh my God, I need to show people what we can do cooking from scratch.
Yeah.
But also the ingredients, and when we buy something that's like this in comparison to a product that is full of lesser quality.
Yeah.
Where,
Yeah.
you know,
there's an investment there. I'm speaking obviously from the point of view of somebody who sells this stuff. So it's really difficult because people are going to be automatically, yeah, but like you just want us to buy it. I'm like, yeah, I do want you to buy it, but also I'm here because I actually want to eat it myself more than anything else. And like when it comes to an organic bread, any organic product that is more than like one ingredient to it, the level of effort and the level of attention that has to go intention that has to go into like producing that thing to avoid using the pesticides, which are another conversation about convenience. Yeah. But like that, there's so much effort that's gone into actually bringing that to market. It's kind of quite mad. So I think about actually get kind of teary. It's kind of weird because then like I know Tebow and like the people actually farming that flour, sweat like goes into that stuff, and the labour's kind of beautiful when you attach to it.
I remember when we did a podcast with Scale.
Yeah.
And we went to meet them, and we went into their bakery and where they were producing the bread, and like we had to keep interrupting the podcast because they needed to turn the bread. You know, like bread was done to side by side. It's like that, and then it was like, oh, look, the gluten's good now. I said it hasn't hit the floor yet, and then picking it back out there. And talking to them about how long it takes to make each loaf of bread, and at that time people were like, "It's so expensive, can't possibly." What was it? I did €6. So yeah, it was €6 for a loaf of bread, and I was like, €6 for a loaf of bread, and you're like, yeah, but it's different. It's almost not the same. Like you can't almost class those two things. The thing you get in the supermarket that's sliced and white and full of all the sugar. There's so much plans and love and years of effort and learning and sourcing and all of those things have gone into that. And I would rather eat less bread and eat the bread that was made with love than hoof into like 7 slices of slice.
Yeah, and that's the answer for everything. I think eat less. If you can't afford to eat something that is far more expensive, be honest, then a crap piece of loaf of white loaf, which could be 30 cents or something.
Yeah.
Then eat it if you can, but eat less of it and fill up on more natural things like
exactly. Because the basics are never that much more expensive in a way. Talk to us about why you wanted to pick my old bread. So, interestingly, it's a 30% old bread because it's going out of date tomorrow.
Okay, so firstly, I chose the sliced one. That's only because Dave and I are devils, so we'll have big doorstop aside. This rations us, right? We could go through this in 2 days. So bad.
That's long. That's a long blind shelf for me.
Dallas into there as well, my baby. So yeah. So basically, I'm mad about teaching people not to waste things. Bread is our number one waste in the world, or is in Ireland, number one. 17 million slices. There's not many stocks in about the Irish market. 17 million slices per day go in the bin in the UK per day.
That's
17 million.
There's only 56 million people out in there.
6 million slices. Okay.
Wild.
So it's our biggest waster, and again, don't open the next packet of bread until the last one's finished. Where you store it, don't have it too wet. It doesn't need to be in the fridge, not too hot. But also remembering that it may not be gone off, especially something like a loaf of sourdough, a loaf of particularly sourdough actually, but a baguette or something that's enclosed won't. Well, you could touch it, bang it off here and be hard.
With a decent crust, yeah.
It'll still be hard, but it's still usable. So my trick is sprinkle a little bit of water, or run it under the top really quickly and pop it into the oven. Or loads of people have air fryers. Perfect for it.
You heat an air fryer for it. That makes sense, of course. Totally, yeah.
Depending on the size, obviously. Yeah. So then pop it in and give it a blast in the oven, maybe 10 minutes, or in the air fryer less, I'm sure.
And what temperature in the oven?
Like a whack, but not 220 or something where you're going to burn it before you heat the center. So maybe 180.
Yeah.
And the other thing is utilize your freezer. So pre-slicing is putting it in the freezer. If you put it in whole in the freezer, brilliant. But then again, you might not ease it all. Yeah, or defrost it solid, it takes a bit longer. So I'd always slice it in freezer. But 30% off, you're mad, by the way. 2 days old.
Yeah.
This is still absolutely delicious. It's sourdough. It's made with sour. It's aged, firstly, anyway, aged flour. But the bread itself stays fresh for at least a week like this, I think. Before it, just put it in the toaster or anything. I always toast it anyway. But if it was a solid piece, again, just do my trick. Cut it in half, put one half in the freezer, the other half in the oven. So I will be eating 30% off for the rest of the week.
So it's aging is interesting, isn't it? Because like we refer to some terms, even though they mean exactly the same thing, like aged versus old. Old is bad, aged is good. It's like aging white. Like as long as we're doing the right, to certain foods, we're like, oh, we understand that really cultivates. And it's like aged flour went to, like you say, like the thing is, and like most of fermentation is about like essentially controlled spoiling, controlled like molding of things, literally, you know, the intentionality, but like the language we use around it, I think is a big part of, I'm not very fancy marketing people have, they're required to make this sort of thing like seem whatever, like aspirational or something people want to do.
I think this is great now for forevermore. If anyone that says you're getting old, I think,
yeah.
it's true. JP McMahon, a chef from Galway, where he talked about using things that are aged in your cookery, right? So that is adding time, flavor, all this like soy sauce, tamari, ferments, any ferments, wines, olive oils, like the years of those vines growing, that is all adding complexion to the flavor, but also to the nutrients and how good they are. I am no nutritionist. I will always say that. I'm a chef. I teach people to cook the rainbow and eat as much varied diet as we can. So you could tell us more about that. But something like this, where it is aged and a forever method. Like I actually don't even think they has a time on this. It is wheat and water. It's 2 ingredients.
Yeah.
Okay, there's some additions of salts and stuff.
Yeah.
But really, it's the age and the process and the time. So
yeah.
And then also the other thing is, you were talking about like we've lost the common sense, or we've lost those kind of ancient things. But like in France, or even in old English cooking, we would have loads of recipes like pampladou, or bread butter pudding, or recipes that you would actually specifically have, like the bread's gone over, it's now too stale to eat on a toast thing. So okay, what do? We soak it in milk, we do this thing, we use it again. And now that I like throw those things away, it's like buying those recipes that we've forgotten. Now it's like, oh yeah, there's those old puddings that we used to have, but why did we summer pudding even? All of those ones, it was like,
use up your stale bread. Is ribonitas, those.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. On such a and like I have recently got into eggy bread. That's so neat. I just thought it's really strawberry. Yeah, recently.
That's really like.
My partner's brother was making it. I was like, oh my god, I haven't had that since I'm a kid.
Eggy bread. Yeah, it's such a child.
What's the difference between French toast and eggy bread? I was like, one just sounds
Yeah.
Eggy bread was the thing you had at tea time. Non's house with French toast. It was like you went to a restaurant.
And then you forget French toast.
I get eggy bread though.
No. Good one.
So from one food that never goes off in terms of your sourdough could last forever to another food that literally never goes off. It's funny. And it's, best before 31st December 2024. But he could put 31st of December 4024. Like they found honey in Tutankhamun's tomb that was still edible as years later or whatever. So anyway.
Not sad that they make him do that.
I know. This is the thing.
It's a bit of a trust the date, by the way. They'll trust your nose and taste it, I think.
Interesting. The EU was they've taken dates off cosmetics, so now you've got this after opening thing, which I think is wrong actually, because they do spoil.
Yeah. But
they've been trying to put through state dates off canned food, so there'll be no date on a canned food.
That's interesting.
Which I'm like, you have to really trust the people canning that food, don't you? That what went in there was okay. Because if it did, like cool.
But if what went in there wasn't okay, it's not okay day one or day.
Then it doesn't matter. Yeah, exactly. I know.
Well, anyway. Okay, so I've got Mount Anville Irish honey. Honey is one of my favorite products. It'll be something that's always in my fridge, or my press. We try not to eat sugar in our house as much as I can. I eat sugar where sugar is obvious, like a Cadbury's bar.
Yeah.
But I try not to eat sugar where it's not, or
not needed, or it's concealed.
Yeah, exactly. But also I try to use Irish honey, pure honey. This is an ingredient that has a sad situation behind it, because a lot of Irish companies will say pure Irish honey. You'll turn the back around. Well, I turn the back of every jar I buy around, or thing I buy, to see the ingredients, and it will say product of EU and non-EU areas, or what does it say? Non-EU countries.
EU, non-EU production or something like that. Yeah.
Which essentially means that it's not going from just Ireland or just the EU. And more than likely, if that is the case, it's coming from China or Asia. And it's made in vats with water and sugar, literally sugar, or even worse, sometimes corn syrup. So the honey we think we're having pure Irish honey isn't. So try and buy small, local, and the closer to you. Am I right in saying this? The closer to you, the better it is for your biome and for your
the pollen, hay fever thing. Yeah. So like, and also raw honey, particularly like Irish honey is usually going to be produced in a way that's they're going to be careful when they're extracting. So usually when you're extracting honey off the comb, they have to heat it a little bit to allow it to release, depending on the type of honey, depending on if it's granulated. And that heating, if it's not controlled, will obviously damage a lot of the enzymes in the honey. And cooking with honey is one of those things in Ayurvedic and Indian, Vedic text things. They would say never heat your honey. And there's some potential truths to that in terms of toxicity, but particularly in this case, you've got a really good health, like an actual medicine.
Yeah.
You go to parts of the world where they know what honey's about. This is medicine, and it's really treated, like you say, with respect.
Yeah.
And so when you're getting stuff that's local to you, you've got lots of pollen percentage in there, high pollen percentage, and that pollen is helpful to regulate your immune system in its response to the potential pollens that are in the environment that cause hay fever.
Okay, and you grow your
I know, yeah, yes, because like we grow like like crank, yeah, we do. I have bees in my back garden. My mum got me into it about 14 years ago. She bought me a bee suit for Christmas. I was like, whoa, swervy move, but like best present ever.
Just to be
The bee suit.
So this I'm not in that. What was Halloween? God, yeah. You need to get your act together and start doing them.
That was it, and it looked like an astronaut thing. I was like, you didn't know when I saw it. I was like, oh, and then there was like a thing. It was like, oh, it's a bee suit.
That's so cool.
And it was, she knows me better than I know myself, because it's actually one of the best things. Like, it really is incredible. And even getting to see their society and what they do, like literally society. It's so organized, it's so structured, it's such, the roles are like defined.
Or even look at what they create, the geometrics of a comb.
It's so wild and beautiful. Like, don't you mind? All the art.
So you sell that here. So your one is
this is Eamon McGee's. Eamon McGee is like the former head of the CDBK, so the County Dublin Beekeeping Association. So he's a really trustworthy guy. Somebody's going to put their name on the honey. You can also be guaranteed it's going to be something you can trust.
And what do you? Because I'm absolutely it's like I use it in everything all the time. I'm obsessed. Yeah. What we do kind of go-to things that you do with your honey is at home.
So in some cookery, you might see a tablespoon of sugar added, or some acidic dishes like tomato sauce, or if I'm making shishika eggs, or any ragu, like a bolognese, I'll replace any sweetness. So if I feel like there needs to be a balance of sweetness, that's where honey will come in. Obviously, you have to be a little bit careful of honey flavour. It isn't so gorgeous.
It does have flavour.
It can be quite strong. It may not work, but it does work. It works majority of the time because it's so delicious. I love using it in pickled onions. I feel like they're a man thing today.
Yeah, you see them everywhere actually.
Bright thing, gorgeous. Which is usually a mix of water, vinegar. So vinegar being sour and sweet being sugar. And then whatever you want, spices like, put bay leaves and peppercorns or fennel seeds or whatever. I use honey there rather than sugar. So I use it as much as I can to replace sugar. If I'm making a cake that requires sugar, the honey is the replacement. So if you ever see sugar in a recipe that's savoury, usually that's where I would use honey. Vinaigrettes always rather than sugar. You mentioned not heating it. Now, I'm probably have been bold in the past and do heat.
But so do I, because we like a roast glazed carrots with honey and gorgeous and cumin or whatever.
And like parts at the moment as well. I love honey. So I have a cold buster recipe that now you can move on to the next thing to bring them together is turmeric. You guys are selling. Can I stop that? Yeah, to see the bright. All right, so cool. Worky, so careful. Yeah, it's got you're done that. Like you stab them, then there's the yellow nuts to the right. Like even though it's orange, it comes out yellow. Yeah, isn't that funny? So I make a cold buster. I made it last year. I think I don't get sick very often, or the year before. Which I clean these, or you can peel them if you want with the back of a spoon. Try to use a peeler because they take off too much. And pop them in a strong food processor. So like something that got a bit of strength, like speed and strength in it. So I use a NutriBullet. Like I find the bigger ones
It gets lost.
Yeah, I might blend it as well. It gets lost in that. So I'll blend the turmeric with loads of ginger, whole oranges where I just take off the skin. So like the whole thing can go in. Same with lemon. Blend it all and I create this paste. Keep it in a jar in the fridge, spoonful of that, boiling water, or you could do room temperature were less than boiling temperature. I'd still say you want hot water. This could have draked you, and now you're cold. And then honey to
Nice.
not just to sweeten it. The honey is there as a medicine.
Yeah.
But you probably could tell me a bit more about the nutrients and what's going on here.
Well, so the orangey thing is interesting because orange is exactly carotenoids. Boom, there you could tell us more.
No, FML. So it's all I know.
So, but anyway, you're right, exactly. So carotenoids are really interesting because they're like essentially precursors to vitamin A inside our body, but they have loads of roles that don't just relate to vitamin A. So they help to protect fats from oxidation inside our body. The magic of whole foods is really, really funny because you have, in every whole food, you'll have the thing that's potentially going to be toxic for you and the thing to protect it from becoming toxic. Always. That's what whole foods are always packaged that way. So you have like fat-soluble curcuminoids in here, which are the beneficial anti-inflammatory compounds, the things that help to prevent or potentially cure, quote inverted commas, and things like arthritis, or like essentially all of the top 8 things that are killing people in the Western world are inflammation as a root. So that's heart disease, cancer, diabetes, I'm not talking about curing cancer with turmeric, but we're definitely talking about the ability to prevent these things by getting out there ahead of it and using these things as part of your daily thing in your food fight and these sorts of things. But yeah, so within that, the carotenoids protect the fat-soluble curcuminoids from oxidation. So you've got like, this is this whole food package magic where we start to refine things and humans think, oh, I'm going to add that in to protect that from this. No, as soon as we start to extract one thing and say that's the best thing, then we're just fecking with nature. Nature knows what to do, always.
Yeah.
So you have inflammation essentially is your big thing, but also liver protective, eye protective, like mucous membrane health, antiviral, list goes.
Okay, so good for colds. And
Definitely.
yeah, in India, where I grew up in Nepal, because on my childhood, you would just like, everyone just has a pouch and it has in their pocket, and it has powdered turmeric in it. And they would like, you get a cut, in goes the turmeric. In a sauce, in goes the turmeric. You know, you can manage it. Yeah.
Because I was going to say, is it much less
effective?
Yeah.
It's more susceptible to oxidation, but if you're getting it powdered in the place where it's being produced, so it's not spending that long like in that little pouch before it gets used, different to when it's traveling halfway across the world to us, I think, probably.
But I suppose it's the same as everything. Buy the best you can word of that product. So if you're going to buy a good spice like turmeric try and buy from.
And I think we forget about, like you talk about messing with nature. There's so many ways that, you know, you don't need to talk about honey and bread. Like we can make poultices from bread to heal ourselves from different things. We can use honey for wound healing. We can use it for sore throats. You know, we can use the turmeric to heal wounds. You showed me an amazing one when I sliced my thumb really badly in your house. Putting a pay in.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It was sorry. So bad, not just like
Yeah, actually,
Don't even stand out of your...
heal spines the wound instantly. Pack it in there.
knock out the powdered can.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, and then seal it over if you want or whatever. Yeah.
Plaster of us. Later, I knocked it off because it had made a little like hair of hemorrhoids. Yeah, it was like a really bad occasion. Like, I was making sushi. So I don't know.
Wow.
Just knocked the top off. And the whole thing at Quadros is that don't have a scar. You're then healed within seconds.
Isn't that phenomenal?
Amazing.
Where's she wearing that? Where's she wearing everything? Do we have my mum?
There you go. Yeah, that is my mum. Well, my mum minced her top of her thumb inside her peanut butter mill downstairs. Forgot to switch it off while she was cleaning.
Oh, geez.
I came into the shop. I was on break, and I could say this is really gross. This I should do. Train on morning. I'm
like 2 morning.
yeah, tell me, Holly. And yeah, there was a lot of blood, and she dumped it into. She had lots of cayenne in the shop. Luckily, she dumped it into a pot of cayenne. And it stopped bleeding within half an hour, and the thing grew back and it was healed. She used like comfrey as a poultice and all sorts of other bits and bobs, but that initial thing with cayenne was what saved it.
No, for all.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is we get so if we go to the pharmacy now, we'll help this pharmacy.
It's here.
Very, very
Yeah, a little bit of knowledge.
to know it and not be frightened of it, and they shouldn't say it.
Try and eat whole foods as much.
Yes, yeah. So speaking about trust your instincts, you seem to you'd be using coconut oil in kind of everything. Instinctively on everybody in every way.
Sorry, when you say everything, I was like, don't get me wrong, food-wise, because we'll go into that.
Oh, yeah.
Everything body-wise.
Yeah.
If I have cracks or pains or, not pains, but cuts or scars, particularly. I got the mozzie bites while we were away, and I got just really badly scarred from Sacco's on. That takes my makeup off every day.
Really?
Like, friends in the industry will be like, that's terrible. But that's what I do.
That's the trick.
Only because it doesn't make my eyes water. My eyes are in pain every morning if I've taken them off with chemically made makeup wipes or not wipes, but even the domestic suds that I used to nick. My mum was talking about making parents' products I used to nick my mum. Sorry, mum. Lancome eye makeup remover.
She just finding that out, man.
Yeah,
She's like, that's where I was going.
so looking, but they're like 40 quid for a bottle and whatever. It's this crazy money, and it would only be when I stayed in her mix. Like, this is still to date. And I would not feel it till the next morning, and I'm like, damn it, I used that again. I'd rather use olive oil even, and I know people are going to think that's weird. But if you have a pain in your eyes after every morning from cleaning your makeup off your eyes with something, try coconut oil. Now, I don't know, am I going to be 80 with really saggy eyelids? I make it 80. Or am I going to be really supple and have black rising eyelids? Yes.
Second one. So rich in sulfur compounds. Sulfur compounds are like fundamentally what's required for keeping connective tissue and not elastic. So it's a big part of it, as well as antifungal bits and other stuff to much moisturizing benefits. And Vic can probably speak into that even more than I can, because you use it at that sort of stuff.
I use it for everything, like it's my body moisturizer. Yeah, for my body. I use it for my baby when he was little, like you were saying. Very salty. When I stopped breastfeeding, I was adding into his food the whole time because it has the lauric acid.
Yeah, good for like garlic, all of it. Yeah,
which mimics stuff that we get in our breast milk. It's really good for you, really healthy. So there's lauric is the one that.
There's a bunch of them, but yeah, lauric would be one.
And so because when I ran out of milk at a certain point, and I went on to goat's milk, I researched it loads and was told add coconut oil, and then it has all these different things that mimic, and also it's like antibacterial, antiviral, really fat rich, lovely. So there's loads and loads of benefits in that, and it's great for things like I tell clients to use it for they have athlete's flush or they have something like that. It's really, really good for that. It's like a natural way of healing up those things. So it's very, very good for you. And also, once we get over the age of like 32, 33, we really want to be using oils on our face. For our cleansers, instead of moisturizers, serums, all of that kind of stuff. It's really, really nourishing. Hydration internally and externally is a major problem. So I think we're
particularly delighted with myself doing that. Say,
how's that thing?
Like, maximum a tenner maybe in comparison to how much these things are costing.
Totally. Compared to cooking oil, slightly pricey. Compared to cleansers, not at all.
But I use it for cooking too.
Yeah.
So Dave would like fry an egg and go like, he might make Mediterranean dishes like that. And I'm like, no, I could taste that it's coconutty.
Yeah, this is her as well. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. It's totally her. We have this conversation all the time. Because I would like to fry lots of things that coconut. She's like, yeah, very gently go.
If it's really good quality, we can't, if you buy the better quality. Don't say coconut. Yeah. So I have that.
Very good. Okay, there you go. Damn.
We didn't cook as oil pal.
You love your old well too, but so do I. So
that's for sure. But they all have their plates. Sorry. Speaking of Mediterranean cooking.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Land, Middle Eastern, tahini. So if anyone doesn't know what it is sesame seed paste. Essentially should be, or most of the time is 100% sesame seeds. Thankfully, actually, there's less.
Nobody's bastardized.
Yes. They did on peanut butter originally. Yeah, we're coming back, which is good.
Well, salt, sugar crap.
Yeah, and so peanut butter as well. While we're here, we just say try and get yourselves 100% peanut butter. Or obviously Harry's as a nice addition.
Yeah. Potential additions, like flavor things and good things.
Exactly, rather than cheaper oils. So sesame seeds paste tahini is also really good for people who are allergic to nuts, actually.
Yeah.
And to use it for wherever they see it in a recipe.
Okay, yeah.
Because
makes sense.
Its consistency works the same way. So like things like baking, it works really well to replace the nut butter. But also in like savoury stuff, it's really tasty. I love putting it into, like, I don't know, I'm about to enter my noodle season, I think.
I'm about to enter it. You feel it coming?
Yeah, I feel it coming. It's out today. Yesterday, like, we're about to enter noodle season. He's like, oh, yeah, like, we're having one. It's like, he loves ramen.
Yeah.
I love all noodles in oil form, so it doesn't necessarily have to be soupy for me. So I love tahini in it. I make a kind of dan noodle dish, which it actually calls for Chinese sesame paste, which is slightly different, but this can be used, and it's harder to find. Tahini, just strain out of the jar.
Yeah, and this is one actually that you say it's like consistency of nut butter. This is like a drink. It's so delicious. So it's what it's called, candilas. So candilas tahini we get from this guy called Nicholas Papadopoulos. You can guess where Nicholas Papadopoulos comes from, and you see Nicholas Papadopoulos, and you want to name him that. You're like, look, that is a Greek man.
It's
It's seriously his name.
Say it again.
Nicholas Papadopoulos. I know. Shout out to Nick.
Did you make that?
I know it's weird, isn't it? It's like he has, but he's an amazing guy, based in Sligo, but realised there's a big gap over here where we weren't getting good Greek foods, good Greek oil, good Greek tahini, etc., etc. And so he brings over really good honey, like chestnut and thyme honey from Greece, and he deals directly with the families, brands them himself over here, so you have like something that looks like it's going to sit on a shelf in Ireland.
Like, yeah.
Exactly. But these are made. We are suckers for the brand. I mean, we just are. At this age.
And if it looks foreign, we'd be less likely to choose it.
Yeah.
In a general. If it looks like, we wouldn't be used to it. That's brilliant. I'm just back from Greece, actually, and they come delicious Greek food.
You Santorini, were we?
I was actually in Athens and then in Hellas, very small town about an hour west on mainland called Milesius. But I have family there. So that's even better.
Are you in Greek heritage?
No.
I'm just looking at this. Hang on a bit.
So my brother-in-law is married to a Greek lady.
Yeah.
So we're very lucky.
That's brilliant.
But tahini is in so much of their food, and it's just the norm. I suppose people are going to be like, what? Okay, the biggest example would be hummus. So hummus is generally the mainstream made with chickpeas, and then an addition of tahini, which I feel like is really important. And if people don't have it, go get it. Buy a jar. And use it in dressing. People ideas, cook with it, because you don't want to buy a jar and not be able to use it.
What's with orange juice really in a dressing? Orange juice, olive oil, tea. For some reason, they just pair really well. I don't know why.
Yeah.
You can make ambitious tahini brownies and use it in other ones.
Tahini fudge, we didn't.
Tahini cookies are
Yes.
so I make a sesame cookie that's tahinis and then sesame seeds on the top and black sesame seed fat on that. So these almonds, delicious.
Really, really good. Yeah.
And but also even just like Greek yogurt with tahini and honey.
Yeah, or on your usually your margarine. It's kind of your fat source, and it is your fat source, but also in your mouthfeel. So you need to cut it a little bit with an acid or a sweet. And I find because it can get a bit fully.
Yeah, true.
Calcium rich.
Yes, amazing calcium rich, unbelievable. Like you're talking about, and magnesium actually, but it's something like 0.3% by dry weight. Don't totally quote me on it, but something like that. Like you get a daily serving, you might get 300 milligrams of calcium in there. Like one people.
Because so many people are vegan now, so many people don't eat dairy, and actually calcium has become a thing that we need to actively seek out if those are our diets. And tahini is a great way to bring that in, I think.
Bring Whopper. Okay. Last but not least, while we're looking after ourselves with all our good food, we also look after ourselves with the odd supplement. Why did you pick Awww Super 8 Probiotics? What's that?
A friend taught me about them years ago, and then I did research on it and found them to be the best version of microbiotics at the time. The Super 8, Udo's choice. He has a liquid as well. They have a liquid as well. But when I did start taking it, I noticed a difference in my health in general.
Cool. Okay, interesting.
So then it made me want to take them more often. They're expensive. So it kind of, I still kind of am the type of person who has a headache and wants to take a tablet. We all know. So it's hard to part with your money when you don't see
the immediacy.
Yeah, whereas I have no problem parting my money with expensive food that's worth them, because I can taste the difference in it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
But this is a product that I would stand by. It changed me. Yeah, definitely changed.
And was it digestive purely, or was it like other immune things or skin things, or what was it?
It was digestive and energy, and I think the energy was connected to the digestion. So taking it made my digestion better, which in turn it enhanced my energy.
Yeah, there's a great quote which is like, we're not what we eat, we are what we absorb, which is a thing, and that's like, it makes sense. You can pile all of the good food in, but if the digestive system isn't working correctly, and you've got breakdown in the lining of the wall, or you've got all sorts of inflammatory things with them, the microbiota isn't in good nick, you're not going to get that into your body. You're not making use of it. So absolutely, you're bang on. It makes sense.
And this is a daily. This isn't. It shouldn't be taken if something is wrong. Actually,
no. And not if you come in and go like, I've got a cold, and you say, oh, biotic. I'm like, okay. So TikTok, right? Okay. No, do it. I'll do it.
No,
but
I believe it's telling people terrible things.
It's telling people some awful things. Some great things as well, but some weird ones. I had a lady in yesterday who was rubbing castor oil into her belly button for. With a very serious cyst in her gallbladder, and I was like, it's not really what we be, and these are smart people as well, like really smart people. I was really shocked to the level of trust that she would have placed in this thing. Anyway, so we talked about the actual stuff too, but
so that of course is a probiotic, which is massively talked about through food at the moment. We would see it as fermented foods like kefirs, kombuchas, kimchis, sauerkrauts. What is the difference?
So what's the difference with a fermented food versus a non-fermented food?
This is
Okay, that's a really interesting thing. So actually, if you get a good kefir, particularly like really good kefirs, there's a couple of them like Blake's do a good one. Rhythm coconut kefir I used to love because the guy who owned that company he went to do microbial testing for every batch that he had, and he had augmented the process of making his kefir to make it as effective as taking a supplement. So when you took a teaspoon of his, it was equivalent to like you were getting 30 billion CFUs, which is meant. Yeah, so that's amazing. So you can do it with food for sure. It's just not as controlled. I think the thing is with this, you're getting bacteriological control. So you can look in the back that you know exactly what bacteria are, what ratios they're at. Whereas with the food is a kind of a wild ferment, a bit like the sourdough versus commercial yeast.
Yeah.
So you're not necessarily guaranteed the same thing in the same ratio every time. But as a protective thing, definitely, you know, that's fermented foods for me are where it really begins. And the more interesting thing about fermented foods for me, and where these guys lose out compared to fermented foods, is that what you're losing in a probiotic is a lot
else it's consumed with.
There you go, and it's the metabolites. So it's so when the bacteria works on the substrate, like in sauerkraut, it produces all the lactic acids that makes it acidic to taste. And it's those acids, those complex acids like glucuronic acid and glucaric acid in your kombucha, that's where the real juice is in terms of long-term human health.
Okay.
Because we can only do so much to augment our gut in terms of chucking bacteria in, but actually it's the acids that one bacteria produces that affects all the rest of them. And so getting like fermented food means you're getting those different things that the bacteria has produced. Essentially, bacteria farting and producing gas as a result of their whatever, or producing acids as a result of chewing on cabbage or whatever it is, or chewing on dairy. So that's the lost part. But the acute thing, it's post-antibiotic use for me. Usually when we're recommending these guys, chronic long-term stuff, maybe underlying digestive issues, yes, as well, it's relevant, or like chronic breakdown stuff, and then that's fine. So yeah, it's a really nuanced thing, I think, with probiotics. People have used it as a catch-all, bit like they have fish oils, and maybe it's gone a bit too far in terms of like they just reach up for everything, you know, and it does do everything. That's the thing, but maybe it's not like
overuse.
Yeah, the maybe not the first thing. And also, we're talking about spending and budgets. Like, let's be sensible about where we spend the money.
I think the post antibiotics is really important.
That's the relevant thing.
Because we're going into the season when people are going to get sick, and they're going to go and get medicine from the doctor, which is fine, and that's what we're used to doing. Maybe come to you first, I think we should do. So and speak preventative if we got to it. But then this is post.
Yeah,
that's really good.
Yeah, it's mopping up the spill essentially. That's basically what it's about.
Bring it.
Bang on.
Can't cook with it, unfortunately.
No, I know. Yeah, I'm just like, how do you cook it from?
I'm looking at your basket and going, what can you make with all a really nice toast? I'm really good toast.
Yeah. Turmeric, by the way, I didn't talk about it actually, but can go in your curries, can go in mainly curry dishes, things that you associate with India and Asia as well. But I just grate it as a morning tea sometimes. So it'll just be grated and poured water over it. So it's not sitting there. But it's sitting there, it's still fine. But go in the freezer too. Don't forget your freezer.
Yeah, so freezer is such a smart thing.
Yeah.
Bang on. Batch cooking and using that freezer big time. That's what you need to all get used to.
I like your basket. And it's not even much on. I think it's really
It's great to have a real foodie on as well. It's lovely to kind of like play with some of the more food things. I think like tahini and honey. Always that's our like whatever milk of the gods, whatever it is. Yeah,
definitely. Thank you so much for coming to join us. A pleasure. And if people want to find you and they aren't already like followers of you, is it best to come to Instagram? Do you have a YouTube channel? Upcoming workshops? What's the story?
It's Instagram, and at the moment I have nothing on the way, which I should do. I have 15 will go, so I think that my hands are a bit full at the moment, but we're getting back to it. But Instagram is my name, Erica Drum, with a C and one M, IE at the end, representing ericadrum.ie, which is also not ready yet, but it will be. And on there I will tell you about upcoming events, but also I will post things like my cold recipe and other things to help.
So any slots at the moment?
Yes, I'll be on 6 o'clock show twice a month. So I'll be on twice in November.
Nice.
And that's sporadic as well, so it's not necessarily a specific date.
Yeah.
I'll always tell you beforehand, and then I'll post the recipe that goes up there. Loads of recipes and loads of it. I love to cook seasonally, guys, so you just see what you see in the supermarket on special offers, because we've loads of it at the moment, but it's also the best time to buy it because it's going to taste the best. And that's when you'll see my recipes.
Bang on. Cool. I love it. I love the ethos. I love the foundation, and I love the flavours.
Great, thank you, guys.
Just last thing to remind you guys about is that we have a little bit of sponsorship to keep the show on the road. Clear Light Saunas, our favorite infrared sauna, you know, that I made at this stage. If you listen to any of our podcasts, you've heard me bang on about infrared saunas. I made the investment a few years back, and it is my preventative healthcare life insurance policy, essentially, that sits in my back garden, and it gives me a delicious sweat a few times a week. Hot and cold therapy is one of the most medically proven things to prevent all-cause mortality, and also just to make you feel like you're doing a great self-care moment. So anyway, Clear Light Saunas, go and talk to us. We'll send you the links. You'll see them actually posted below this podcast as well, to get your discounts, and also our lovely own clothing. Now, I'm not wearing it today. I'm wearing more passenger clothing because I'm addicted to passenger at the moment. We always use organic cotton, but we use organic cotton in all of our clothes as well. So if you want to get our carefully curated, consciously crafted clothing collection, come to the OneYearWellnessProject.com, where you'll find our t-shirts, our hoodies, our oversized sweats as well, which are great for this time of year. That's about it.
Well done, thank you.
Thanks. I made it through. Bye. Thank you.